Howdy everyone, old buddy Ben with that #show.com. As always, my existence on the interwebs today is brought to you by the fine folks over at Neff Vodka, reminding you to please always drink responsibly, as well as everybody over at Toink.com, our other dope-ass sponsor. Woohoo! Back in November, I had the opportunity to sit down with two fine gentlemen from MELS Studios in Montreal, Quebec. That's right, the land of Wolverine, hockey, and maple syrup, Canada! You might be asking, Ben, if you sat down and talked to them in November, why is this video being released in mid to late March? The answer is simple, it's because I'm the worst. But here we are now. Check it out as I talk to MELS Studios President Martin Carrier and Vice President of Post-Production and Distribution Sebastian Labbe about their new Magic Box virtual production stage and all the exciting work that they're doing up in Montreal. Check it out. The big thing that you guys are excited about right now is the newer digital aspects that you've been incorporating into the industry or into the company. Can you share a little bit about what you're doing, the big things that you're excited about now moving forward?
Yeah, if you just go a little step back and you look at, obviously we're located in Montreal. Montreal is one of the world's main hubs for video game development. And actually my background is from video games. So I worked at Ubisoft. I was the founder and the studio head of Warner Brothers Games in Montreal. And I've worked in several studios, and I've been at MELS for about 6 months now. And I was taking that baggage with me on this new adventure. And so you have the world of video games. You have a big hub for VFX also in Montreal. And obviously, historically, a lot of filming. We do a lot of local production in Montreal. And you've had what we call international filming. And you look back, there's tons of movies that you don't know of, but that have been made in Montreal. So it's always been a hub. And now with the very exciting sort of area of virtual production, we're merging those worlds together that have sort of cohabited, but not really been sort of working together. So we brought and Seb has worked at Ubisoft also for a couple of years on Rainbow Six. And the idea was how do we bring those worlds together and create in Montreal the same thing as the very exciting stuff that went on for Mandalorian. So the virtual stage, filming, using the game engine to do, show your effects in real time, everything on screen. You can do the camera tracking, capture that on the fly directly, and almost no post-production involved.
Coming from the video game industry, you guys are using, you're collaborating with Solotech, and this technology is powered by the Epic Games Unreal Engine technology. Yep. You're not shooting in front of blue screens anymore. You're not shooting in front of green screens. You're not going out on location. You're using a giant LED screen that is creating the background in real time, moving it around with in coordination with the camera and everything. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. It was absolutely correct. So we just used, you can see the camera when we put the camera tracker and we use the OptiTrack system on that specific shoot that we've done. And you can see the camera as a remote control for a joystick when you play a video game. So instead of playing with your hand, you put the controller on the camera, and when it moves, everything that you've done with the camera is sent to our central server, and the Unreal Engine just take that into account to make it move like you were there for real. But the thing is, when you talk about a journey that we start previously in August, that we know all these ingredients and we have all these ingredients. The trick is to how do you make the recipe with all these ingredients, because it's not that easy. The learning curve, it's incredible. And that's the reason why we choose to create something real with a deadline, and I think that put on us and on the team a lot of pressure, but also a lot of result, because everyone were involved and tried to work hard to make that happen on that date.
This whole digital stage building project, you're telling me that started August 2020? Is that right?
Yeah, we first put it together. I mean, we started thinking about it a little bit earlier on. I did come to MELS thinking this is something that we want to put together at MELS, right? And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, okay, we knew that coming out of the of this, situation, we needed to innovate. Otherwise, in a sense, it was going to help us to build business back up after the pandemic. And this idea came together. We said, well, you know what? We do have great partners in town in Solotech, for example, that run shows for people like Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga and are used to putting up these screens and so on. And I called them up and said, hey, listen, we'd like to, go on to this adventure. Would you join us? And they were like, well, yeah, sure. I mean, we're not on tour, right? So we got plenty of time and plenty of tiles, right? So they jumped on board, and we called our friends at Epic and said, we'd love to, have you guys help us out with this. We want to learn more about it. Same thing with the folks at Ari. And, I think we didn't think it was going to be easy, but little did we know it was going to be a little hard, right? But we had a lot of fun in that very, very steep learning curve. And, maybe it's a little tough to illustrate, but when you have the OptiTrack camera tracking system and you need to calibrate, and you got one of your IT guys that's dancing with a wand in front of the cameras to try to, do the calibration. And I think we have some video there in a vault of that. And that was a funny thing of these guys dancing with a wand at like 2 o'clock in the morning, calibrating, because we were shooting in the morning, right? It had to work. So it was something that we said, like, let's build the wall. Let's actually shoot something that's worthwhile, not just, a vista and some guy, which had been done earlier on. We wanted to bring a sense of innovation, but you've had these times of innovation in filmmaking that's moved from, I was talking about, there's pictures of a guy playing piano, and then suddenly it's a talking picture, and suddenly it's colorized, and then it's Dolby, and it's IMAX, and so on. And we are, I think, on the cusp of one of these great evolutions that bring creativity to a next level. And so we wanted to have we wanted to actually sort of pay homage to that in a way and build a scene that you've seen on our video, which is kind of, we transitioned from someone in their kitchen in New York to suddenly they open the door and they're on the rooftops of Paris. And building in a way that little magical moment was part of the challenge.
I imagine with this kind of technology, it's much less, you have much less of a crew requirement. On paper, that's what you're supposed to get. But for our first experience, wasn't our main objective. So we did have more people than we could have had. And we were putting all this lighting together. And then our DOP, Sarah Misharis, suddenly said, I don't need all this lighting. I've got the LED ceiling. That's what I'm going to use. And in the end, she had an iPad, and she was just controlling her lighting on the iPad, and it was happening in real time.
At the very beginning, to be honest, we don't really know who we need and we don't need, we just, we bring the more people as we can to make sure that we've got the right person there to do the job. When you're doing that kind of shooting in an exterior set, you don't know when you're going to begin. You don't know who will come in. It's very hard to keep that area secure. When you are in that control environment, it's very cool because you know who is in, you know who is out. You can manage that easily, and it's probably easier to work that way.
How big is the Magic Box physically?
So our Magic Box wasn't that big, but in this case, size doesn't necessarily matter. So because you can use the engine to do set extension, you can play with it and create an illusion. But in our case, we went for a fair-sized box, I guess. So 30 feet wide, 15 deep, and we also had a tiled ceiling, a LED tiled ceiling on top of that volume. But that can be, it could be bigger, it could be smaller, depending on what kind of outcome you want, what kind of scene you want to shoot, and that's and then that will be that sort of bespoke experience I think that people will be looking for in the future.
Tell me about that process and how you got from point A to where you're at today.
First and foremost, what we must remember is that we had a lot of IT guys dancing with a wand.
Yeah.
And I think that will stick with me for a while. There was a lot of trial and error in what we did. And that's why we wanted to build it, and we wanted to film something and come out of it with some learnings. I think getting the equipment list together and understanding what works and what doesn't. You got to put a budget together because it was in a sense, a commercial endeavor. We needed to understanding how budgeting works for these kinds of projects was a big part of why we wanted to do it. The technical side obviously is important. The output is important, but part of the output is understanding the financial parameters behind all this. So it was a long process of, okay, what do we need in this case? Okay, let's get an executive producer on board that will help us. Let's get a director on board. I need to go out and get some budget. We need to get some equipment. Seb has to call his team, get the IT guys on board. And so bringing all those pieces together and navigating at some point without, knowing exactly, what the next step was, but, you're in the right direction, but, what's the next step? So we did some set building also. So there was at the same time this very sort of novel, new sort of virtual production side, but we had, people with, 2x4s and hammers in there and building part of the set, building the rooftops of Paris, painting and doing everything that needs to be done to make it look real. And so getting that symphony to actually work together was part of the really big initial challenge.
Tell me about dark fiber.
MELS have under the same roof all the services. So as a group, we have a VFX team that are ready to work, and there's 70 person working in that in our team. If you need them to do something quick, to put and do an iteration, let's say, for something that you will use today or tomorrow on your set, you don't have to do a call and call someone in somewhere around the world, and we'll do something and try to manage how we will manage all this footage and bring it to our system and make sure it will work properly into the Unreal Engine and et cetera, and optimize the scene and every time. So every building that we have, and we have a lot in Montreal, I think, Martin, maybe 18 different buildings that we have in Montreal. So every building has a black fiber between us. So if we ask if you need something from one of our team somewhere in Montreal, we're able to make it goes right away. So you can use all our render farm to do something to render it directly on the wall without having it directly on set. We will give you the things you need to do your production. If you need a Mandalorian system, we're gonna build it for you because we have partners to do it, and we have stage to do it, and we have the crew to do it. We have people who will listen up the project, work with you guys, work with the people who want to do things, and we will build it. And with all these things relied by black fibers, we can do it without having to move everyone on the same set.
I had such an amazing time talking to those guys. We talked for over an hour. I had to distill it down to the tastiest bits. But thank you so much to Martin Carrier and Sebastian Labbe for taking the time to sit down and talk to me about all the awesome stuff they're doing up in Montreal with the Magic Box. And thank you so much to Lumos PR for your patience on me getting this video out. You all are amazing. Remember, if you're a budding filmmaker or an established professional, MELS Studios can help make your dream a reality. Be sure and check out MELS-studios.com for more information on all the exciting stuff that they're doing up there in Quebec. As always, I'm Old Buddy Ben. This is thathashtagshow.com. And remember, the reason I'm drinking out of this red cup is because whenever Ben Kliewer shows up, it's always a party.